In the heart of bustling Manhattan, amidst skyscrapers and the never-ending hum of the city, there was a quiet little corner on West 73rd Street. A modest music studio, Melody Haven, stood there with its vintage brick facade and a sign that swayed gently in the breeze. Inside, life had found a rhythm, one marked by keys and chords. This studio belonged to Clara Reed, a 40-year-old widow whose world had been irrevocably altered 5 years ago when her husband, James, passed away unexpectedly. He had been her partner in life and music. Together, they had built Melody Haven, a haven not just for aspiring musicians but also for the couple's shared dreams. After James' passing, Clara had contemplated closing the studio, but the thought of abandoning their dream was unbearable. So, she carried on, teaching piano lessons to students ranging from eager children to ambitious young adults. It became her solace, a place where sorrow found expression in melodies. One crisp autumn morning, as golden leaves danced outside the studio's window, a new student arrived. Alex Hayes, 25, walked in carrying a guitar case. His tousled brown hair and easy smile radiated a youthful charm. He was a musician by heart, but his band had recently disbanded, and he wanted to learn piano to broaden his skills. From their first lesson, Clara noticed something extraordinary about Alex. He wasn't just talented, he was deeply passionate. His questions were thoughtful, his dedication unmatched. And he had a disarming habit of turning the simplest of moments into something remarkable. "You're playing that wrong," Clara teased during one lesson, watching Alex fumble with a difficult chord. He grinned, the corners of his green eyes crinkling. "I'm not playing it wrong, I'm playing it creatively." The studio filled with laughter, a sound that Clara hadn't heard in years, not like this. A growing connection. Over time, their lessons became more than just piano instruction. They talked about music, life, dreams, and loss. Alex shared stories of his struggles to make it as a musician in New York, and Clara opened up about her late husband and the void his absence left behind. "Do you ever think you'll find love again?" Alex asked one evening, his tone tentative. Clara hesitated, her fingers brushing the piano keys absently. "I don't know. Love feels distant, like a song I used to know but can't quite remember." Alex nodded thoughtfully. "Maybe it's just waiting for the right melody." The words lingered in the air, leaving Clara with a fluttering sensation she couldn't quite place. The spark. As months passed, their bond deepened. Clara began to notice Alex's kindness in ways she hadn't allowed herself to notice anyone in years. The way he carried her sheet music without being asked, the way he stayed late to help tidy up, the way he looked at her as if she were the most interesting person in the room. One evening, after a particularly emotional lesson where they played one of Clara's favorite duets, Alex spoke up. "Clara, there's something I need to say," he began, his voice steady but nervous. She looked at him, sensing the weight of his words. "I know there's an age gap between us, and I know it might seem unconventional, but I can't ignore how I feel about you. You've become more than a teacher to me. You've become someone I deeply admire and care about." Clara's heart raced. She was stunned, not just by his confession but by the realization that she felt the same. "I don't know what to say," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "You don't have to say anything right now," Alex said gently. "I just wanted you to know." Love's second act. Clara spent the next few days lost in thought. Society had its opinions, and she knew their age difference would raise eyebrows. But as she replayed their moments together, she realized that love didn't come with a rulebook. When Alex arrived for his next lesson, Clara greeted him with a smile that held both vulnerability and hope. "Alex," she began, her voice trembling slightly, "life doesn't often give us second chances. But when it does, I think we owe it to ourselves to embrace them." His face lit up, and for the first time in years, Clara felt something she thought she had lost forever, a sense of possibility, of joy. The journey ahead. Their relationship wasn't without challenges. They navigated the skepticism of friends and family, the whispers of neighbors, and their own fears. But through it all, they found strength in each other. Alex helped Clara rediscover the thrill of taking risks, and she grounded him with her wisdom and experience. Together, they composed a new chapter of their lives, one filled with music, laughter, and love. Years later, as they performed a duet at a small recital, their eyes met, and the audience disappeared. In that moment, Clara knew that love, like music, was timeless. And that's where we'll take a quick break. Before we continue, if you haven't already, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on the bell icon to stay updated with our latest content. Also, let us know in the comments below what you think. Your feedback really helps us. Now, let's dive back in. Over the next few months, Clara and Alex's relationship blossomed. Their connection grew stronger, marked by shared moments in and out of the studio. Despite their differences in age and life experience, they found a beautiful rhythm together, like two complementary notes forming a harmonious chord. But love is rarely a straightforward melody. Navigating challenges. Clara's close friend Margaret was the first to notice something unusual. "Clara," Margaret began one afternoon over coffee, "you've been glowing lately. What's going on?" Clara hesitated, then decided to confide in her. "Margaret, I've been seeing someone. Alex. My student." Margaret's eyebrows shot up. "The young one?" "Clara, he's barely older than my nephew." "I know," Clara admitted, her voice steady but vulnerable. "But he makes me feel alive in a way I haven't felt in years. It's not about his age, it's about who he is." Margaret softened, seeing the earnestness in her friend's eyes. "Well, if he makes you happy, who am I to judge? Just be careful, Clara. The world isn't always kind to unconventional love." Her words echoed in Clara's mind. She and Alex had kept their relationship private, knowing it might invite criticism. And sure enough, when word began to spread, the reactions were mixed. Some of Clara's older students quietly withdrew from her lessons. Alex's friends teased him, calling him Mrs. Robinson, though he brushed it off with humor. Even strangers on the street occasionally stared when they held hands. "Does it bother you?" Clara asked one evening as they walked through Central Park, the city lights twinkling behind them. Alex squeezed her hand. "Not at all. Let them talk. What we have is real, and that's all that matters." Clara smiled, his words reassuring her. Yet, doubts lingered in the quieter corners of her mind. Meeting the families. The true test came when Alex invited Clara to meet his parents. "They're traditional," Alex warned as they approached the suburban house where he had grown up. "But they'll come around. I know they will." Clara smoothed her dress nervously as they entered. His mother, Diane, greeted them with a warm but curious smile. His father, Tom, was less subtle, his furrowed brow betraying his skepticism. "So, Clara," Tom began over dinner, "you teach piano. Must be a rewarding career." "It is," Clara replied, maintaining her composure. "Music has always been my passion." Tom nodded, his tone turning pointed. "And what drew you to Alex? You must have a lot of differences." Clara met his gaze calmly. "We do. But those differences have only enriched our relationship. Alex has brought new energy and joy into my life, and I like to think I've helped him see things from a different perspective." Diane chimed in, sensing the tension. "Well, Alex has always had a good head on his shoulders. If he's happy, that's what matters." By the end of the evening, while Tom remained wary, Diane seemed genuinely supportive. "Give him time," Alex whispered to Clara as they left. "He'll come around." Clara's breakthrough. Meanwhile, Clara's career took an unexpected turn. Inspired by her growing confidence, she began composing original pieces for the first time in years. Alex encouraged her, insisting she record them. "You have something special, Clara," he told her. "The world deserves to hear it." With Alex's help, Clara uploaded her compositions to a popular music platform. To her surprise, the response was overwhelming. Listeners praised her heartfelt melodies and raw emotion. A local radio station even featured her work, calling her a rising talent with a timeless soul. For the first time since James' death, Clara felt truly seen. Not just as a widow or a piano teacher, but as an artist and a woman with her own voice. A grand gesture. On their one-year anniversary, Alex planned a surprise for Clara. He rented a small theater and invited her closest friends and students, along with his own family, including a now more supportive Tom. As Clara entered, she was greeted by the sight of a grand piano on stage and Alex waiting beside it. "This past year has been the most incredible of my life," Alex said, his voice carrying through the room. Clara, you've taught me so much, not just about music, but about love, resilience, and the beauty of second chances. Tonight, I want to honor you." He sat at the piano and began playing one of Clara's original compositions, seamlessly transitioning into a piece they had written together. Tears streamed down Clara's face as the audience erupted into applause. When the music ended, Alex stood and took her hand. "Clara Reed, you are my muse, my partner, and my greatest inspiration. I love you. Will you share the rest of your life with me?" Clara gasped, the room blurring around her. "Yes," she whispered, her voice choked with emotion. "1,000 times yes. A love that endures." Clara and Alex married the following spring in a small ceremony surrounded by those who had come to accept and celebrate their love. Together, they continued teaching, composing, and performing, proving that love has no age, only timing. Years later, their story became a source of inspiration for many, a testament to the power of second chances and the courage to follow one's heart, even when the world might not understand. The romantic journey of Clara and Alex. The first touch of vulnerability. It started with simple gestures, moments that hinted at something deeper before either of them could fully acknowledge it. One evening, after a particularly emotional lesson, Alex lingered longer than usual. They had been working on Chopin's Nocturne in E-flat major, a piece that always tugged at Clara's heart. "You play it beautifully," Alex said, his voice softer than usual. Clara looked up, a little surprised. "Thank you. It was James' favorite." Alex hesitated, then gently placed a hand on hers where it rested on the piano keys. "I think he'd be proud of you, for carrying on, for sharing this gift with the world." The touch was brief, but it left Clara's heart racing. For the first time in years, she felt seen, not just as a teacher or a widow, but as a woman. The first dance. One rainy evening, Alex showed up at the studio with an old vinyl record in hand. "I found this in a thrift store," he said, holding up a Frank Sinatra album. "Thought it might cheer up a gloomy day." They played the record as the rain drummed against the windows. When "Fly Me to the Moon" began, Alex stood and offered Clara his hand. "Dance with me?" he asked, his green eyes twinkling with mischief. Clara laughed nervously. "I haven't danced in years." "Good," Alex teased. "Neither have I. We'll be equally terrible." She hesitated, then let him pull her to her feet. They swayed awkwardly at first, laughing at their missteps. But as the music carried them, Clara found herself relaxing into Alex's arms. For a brief moment, the world outside faded away. It was just the two of them, moving in harmony to a timeless melody. Late-night conversations. One night, after a particularly long day, Alex stayed behind to help Clara clean the studio. They ended up sitting on the floor, sharing takeout Chinese food and talking late into the night. "Do you ever regret not leaving New York?" Alex asked, his tone curious. Clara smiled faintly. "Sometimes. But this city holds so many memories, of James, of our dreams. It's hard to let go." Alex studied her for a moment. "Do you think you'll ever leave?" "Maybe," she said thoughtfully. "If I had a reason to start fresh somewhere." Alex's gaze held hers, and in that moment, Clara felt the unspoken words between them. "I'd follow you anywhere," he said quietly, his voice steady and sincere. Clara's breath caught. "Alex, I mean it," he interrupted gently. "You've changed my life, Clara. You make me want to be better, not just as a musician, but as a person." The piano duet. One evening, Alex arrived early for his lesson. He brought a new piece of sheet music he'd been working on, a song he had composed himself. "I was hoping you'd play it with me," he said, his voice laced with anticipation. Clara was touched. "Of course. Let's try it." They sat together on the piano bench, their shoulders brushing as they played. The piece was hauntingly beautiful, blending Alex's youthful passion with Clara's seasoned grace. As the final notes faded, Clara turned to him, her eyes misty. "That was incredible, Alex." "It's because of you," he replied softly. "You've inspired me in ways I didn't think were possible." Before she could respond, Alex leaned in slightly, his voice a whisper. "You're more than a teacher to me, Clara. You're everything." Clara's heart raced as she realized the depth of his feelings mirrored her own. The garden picnic. On Clara's birthday, Alex surprised her with a private picnic in a secluded corner of the Brooklyn Botanic Garden. The space was adorned with fairy lights, and a soft melody played from a portable speaker. "This is beautiful," Clara said, her voice filled with wonder. "Not as beautiful as you," Alex replied, his gaze unwavering. They spent the evening sharing stories, laughter, and their favorite songs. At one point, Alex took her hand in his, tracing circles on her palm. "Do you know what I see when I look at you?" he asked. Clara shook her head, her voice caught in her throat. "I see strength, elegance, and a heart that's bigger than this entire city. You've taught me so much, Clara, not just about music, but about life. About love." Tears welled in Clara's eyes as Alex leaned closer, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "You're my melody, Clara. The one I never want to stop playing." The first kiss. Their first kiss happened on a snowy evening as they left the studio. The city was quiet, blanketed in white, and their breaths formed clouds in the cold air. As they stood by the door, Clara turned to Alex, her cheeks flushed from the cold, and maybe something more. "Thank you for tonight," she said softly. "For everything." Alex stepped closer, his eyes locked on hers. "Clara, I need you to know. You've changed my world." Before she could respond, Alex leaned in, his lips brushing hers in a tender, lingering kiss. Time seemed to stand still. The snow swirled around them, but all Clara felt was warmth, the kind she thought she'd never feel again. When they pulled apart, Alex rested his forehead against hers. "I've wanted to do that for a long time." Clara smiled, her heart full. "So have I." Their love in full bloom. From that moment, their relationship became a symphony of romantic gestures, stolen glances, and shared dreams. Whether it was dancing in the studio late at night, walking hand in hand through Central Park, or simply sitting together in comfortable silence, every moment felt like a new note in their song. Thank you so much for watching our heartwarming love story. We hope their journey of love, healing, and redemption touched your heart as much as it did ours. If you enjoyed this video, even just a little bit, please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. We know you enjoy watching our videos, but if you haven't subscribed yet, now is the perfect time to do so. Your support means the world to us and helps us bring you more amazing content like this. By subscribing, you'll be the first to know when we upload new videos filled with love, inspiration, and beautiful stories. Plus, you'll be joining a wonderful community of people who appreciate heartwarming tales just like you. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your feedback on this story. Did it make you smile? Did it remind you of someone special? Let us know. Your comments truly make our day and inspire us to create even more captivating content for you.